Welcome back to the Octagon Opinions channel. In today's video, we will be making a tier list based on the fighters that I think would make the best and the worst best man at your wedding. So obviously S tier is going to be, the guy that you really want up there, doing the speech, handling everything, just doing the kind of stuff for you, planning your bachelor party or your stag do, I suppose as well. But yeah, so that's what the video is. You guys know how a tier list works. I'm sure you're not dumb. So yeah, we will kick it off with the first fighter of the tier list, which will be Merab Dvalishvili. Now Merab is in the B tier because his microphone skills, it's hearing this guy, give a speech is like being in a fucking hostage situation. It's like someone's holding a gun to your head and just forcing you to just sit there and listen to it. Here's the thing. And another thing, you guys, and another thing. This guy's got like 500 other things that he needs to tell you about. I mean, it's funny, it's funny, and it's not in a bad way. So yeah, his speech would drag on and on and on, whatever. But other than that, he is a bit of a fucking nutcase. We see clips of him climbing up trees, jumping into fucking frozen lakes. Like this guy does all this stuff. Like as he has a fight coming up, before he has fights coming up, and it's fucking insane. And it's the exact reason that he's now got a mad, fucked up, broken nose. I think he got it when he was sparring or something. But yeah, no, this guy's an absolute nutter. So having him run around your wedding, run around the stag do, just doing all this kind of crazy shit. I think it would be absolutely mental. And also, the only other thing is that he would come with like two other people. Obviously, the first one being Aljamain Sterling. Him and Aljo are inseparable. Buy one get two. Like they're stuck together. But also, there's a danger that he brings along Nina Drama, and you do not want that woman at your wedding. You do not want it, and you don't want it because her husband might pass on the cuck curse, the curse of the cuck, and you obviously do not want that. So that is why Merab will be in B tier. Moving on though, to our next fighter, we've got Sean O'Malley. Now, Sean O'Malley, I'm going to put him in A tier. I'm going to put him in A tier. I think Sean's a pretty decent guy. He seems like a pretty funny guy. His microphone skills. We don't really hear him on the microphone that often. He doesn't do like a crazy amount of trash talking. But because of that, he's not going to flame you, at your wedding in the speech. So I think that's a positive. But also, we got to be careful with Sean. You have to be careful if you're inviting him to like any of the after parties or anything like that, because Schmitty will be running behind him, crying his heart out. Everyone's always asking, "Oh, Sean, how is Schmitty? How is he?" But no one is ever asking, "Where is Schmitty?" And I think there's a reason for that. But yeah, Sean wise, I think he's a pretty decent guy. His speech might not be that great, but I think it will do the job, and that's really what you want. And in terms of like a stag do, Sean seems like the kind of guy who can get up to some kind of fun stuff. Um, but yeah, no, he seems like a pretty chill guy. So A tier for Sean O'Malley. Yeah. And our next fighter on the tier list is the man, the myth, the legend, Alexander Volkanovski. Obviously, big fan favorite in the UFC, and there is a reason for that. The guy he's a gem. He's an absolute gem of a person. He doesn't trash talk, but he's got good microphone skills. Like this guy is funny. He's also got the skits that he did, like where he was an old man and all this kind of stuff. Like the guy, he's got jokes. He's pretty funny. He's a lovely guy. But also, I'm thinking about the buffet, right? Because the buffet at your wedding, this guy, he's going to be slaving away in the kitchen. He's going to be crafting up some absolute banging meals. And yeah, I think just all round, he'd be a great help with everything. He's not gonna, he's not gonna go crazy on like a stag do or anything like that. I think he probably keeps it pretty chill. Just kind of, keeping it real, keeping it chill, just not being crazy like some of the other guys on this tier list. But yeah, Volkanovski, obviously featherweight GOAT. Um, yeah, he's just a great guy overall. He would help out with the buffet, and yeah, you wouldn't do too much else. Nothing crazy from him, and so yeah, S tier for him. And now we come on to the next fighter of this tier list, probably the one that I might put in the thumbnail. It is Conor McGregor, Mystic Mac. Conor McGregor, I think we're going to have to put him into B tier along with Marab. I think obviously we've seen McGregor on the mic. He is absolutely legendary, probably the best UFC fighter in terms of microphone skills, like pure charisma. He's up there in a league of his own. He also just oozes charisma. You know, this guy, he had almost like he almost had like interviewer riz. Do you know what I mean? Like he was just every interview, every press conference. This guy, he's got jokes. He's funny. He knows how to work a crowd. And so I think his speech would probably be one of the best, on the tier list. I think speech wise. However, I think out with the speech on Stag Do, this guy is going fucking mental. And I think he's probably going to disappear for the whole time that you're away. He'll be getting involved in God knows what. He'll be coming back every night. You know, his nose is all kind of fucked up. You know, all that powdered sugar from the cake. But yeah, overall, I think McGregor probably a B tier candidate. I think he can write and perform an absolute amazing speech, but ultimately, he's going to be getting up to no good on that stag do, and also on your wedding day, he's probably going to be getting hammered and going around punching old guys. You know, you don't want him going around and punching your wife's dad, or your dad, or anyone like that, and I think you've got to be really careful with him because he may end up leaving your wedding in the back of a police car. But yeah, other than that, he seems pretty chill. So yeah, B tier for Conor McGregor. And the next fighter on our list is the man himself, Arman Tsarukyan. Now Arman Tsarukyan, I'm going to put him at B tier. Again, much like Marab, I think Arman, he's kind of a wee bit mental. He might accidentally start headbutting people backstage. Before he does his speech, God knows what he'll do, fucking anything. Um, but overall, I think he'll come into your wedding. He'll arrive on like a private jet, maybe a supercar, something like that, just to flex on you. I mean, McGregor would probably do that as well. Um, but Armin will do it just because he can and he wants to show you up. The one thing I think is that he would get you a really good wedding gift. I'm talking like a Ferrari or something, maybe a G-Wagon. So that's one thing that I think he might do, which kind of gets him into the good ranks. Now on our stag do, I think Armin, he's obviously trying to raise up everyone. He's pretty slick on the mic. I think he's gotten a lot better over the years. His mic skills are, a lot better than they used to be. And yeah, I think he's just got more of a character about him now, and I think he would be pretty cool to hang out with on like a stag do. I think he'd be splashing the cash. You'd be on like a yacht party or something. It would be pretty cool. But again, much like Marab, he will be tagging along with that Nina drama woman, and my fucking God, you just don't want it. You just don't want that thing anywhere near your wedding or your stag do. Um, and yeah, Buffy wise, he's eating the whole fucking thing, right? Let's not take the piss, right? He's eating the whole fucking thing. And we've all seen the videos on Instagram of him, with a fucking huge amount of food all for himself. Bit of a greedy bastard, but we let it slide. We let it slide. But yeah, other than that, I think he's pretty sound. I think Stagdo would be pretty cool. And yeah, B tier for Armin. And now moving on to the next fighter on the list, we have got John Bones Jones. They call him Bones because he's got skeletons in his closet. He might also be in the closet. Regardless, this guy is D tier for a multitude of reasons. I don't think we really have to go too deep into it. Whether or not he's, running over a pregnant woman, just beating his wife, beating your wife. you don't want this guy anywhere near your fucking wedding. You want him as far away as possible. Much like McGregor, he'll probably be taking, multiple trips to the bathroom, doing a wee bit of, wee bit of the sniff, coming back out, bit drunk, bit high, bit crazy. And yeah, I think he, could possibly tear the place apart. Um, there are no real redeeming qualities that Jon Jones possesses in a best man, in like the functions of a best man. I think speech wise, I don't know. I just always feel like Jon Jones is really weird whenever he does like interviews or talks on the mic. He can get really personal. He's a yeah, I don't know. He's the most D tier candidate if there ever was one. Um, I mean, there could actually be another tier for him just on his own. But yeah, Jon Jones, you don't want him at your wedding. You don't want him as your best man. You certainly don't want him on a stag do. He's getting the whole team are getting pulled into some fucking mental, police situation if this guy's on your stag do. So yeah, avoid Jon Jones at all costs. Um, yeah. Now, moving on to the next fighter on this list, we have got the man himself, Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, I'm actually going to dump him into the C tier. Nothing personal. I just think this guy would only actually rock up to your wedding, to your stag do, if he thought there was any chance he's getting a fight against Conor McGregor out of it. He's during his best man speech. He's going to be dropping hints, about a McGregor fight, blah blah blah. And at the very end of the speech, this guy's taking the mic and he's screaming, "Conor McGregor!" See you at the top. All this kind of nonsense. In terms of speech, though, I think he could probably give a pretty banging speech. He seems like a pretty motivational guy. Obviously, that whole "see you at the top" nonsense. But yeah, Michael Chandler, C tier candidate. I think he could probably do the job pretty well. In terms of him being on the stag, I don't think he's the kind of guy who like is going to do anything like crazy. I don't think he's doing lines off of a prostitute's arse or anything like that. Um, so I think he's a sensible, reliable option. But there's nothing really else there. Other than that, and he will be screaming for a Conor McGregor fight at your wedding. So you do have to be careful of that. We move on now to the next fighter in this tier list, and it will be Leon Rocky Edwards. Now, Leon Edwards, I'm going to put him in C tier, along with Michael Chandler. I think Edwards, his speech and his overall aura, on your wedding day as the best man, he will be in, negatives, right? We're talking minus 1,000 aura. This guy's speech, it's only really going to go well if he, head kicks your brother or your uncle out cold on the dance floor. He's getting on the mic, headshot dead, But apart from that, he's going to be mumbling his way through. He'll panic. He'll start talking about his fucking Mercedes GLE, bruh, Mercedes GLE, just that kind of dumb shit. But apart from that, I think he's pretty sound. Buffy wise, stag do wise, he seems like he would actually be like a good bit of fun. He's not going to do anything mental, but I think he can party. I think he knows how to party. I think he knows how to have a good time. He maybe just doesn't show it, when he's doing interviews and press conferences. But yeah, I think overall, in terms of what you want from a best man, I think the speech is a big thing. So I'm probably going to put him down into C tier and keep him there, just because I'm not sure if his speech will really, stack up against a McGregor or a Volkanovski. Volkanovski hitting you with deep quotes, like adversity is a privilege, that kind of stuff. So that's what you have to look forward to with Volk. And I think Edwards, in comparison, he ain't giving you those kind of deep quotes. So yeah, C tier for Leon Edwards. We move on to the next fighter of the tier list, and it is none other than Josh Hawkett, the man, the myth. Now, Josh Hawkett, obviously, very newcomer to the UFC, very newcomer. He's quite brand new in terms of the UFC. his microphone skills, like they do so much for the guy. I think we saw in his fight with Curtis Blades that the guy can take a fucking punch, and that's not really got anything to do with him being the best man. I just feel like I had to mention that. Um, but yeah, Josh Hockett, microphone wise, he's gonna be rhyming, hitting you with some great word timing. See what I did there. Um, but no, I think his speech will be a mix of rage bait, roasting, shit talking, and then just some other weird shit that he, just throws in whenever he needs a word. Um, but I don't think it would be that bad. Like, I don't think it would be that terrible. And I think on like a stag do, I think Josh Hockett would actually be like, I think he would actually be kind of fun. I mean, I know it sounds like insane that, you want a guy like him, fucking, pissed off his face in your ear, giving it all that when you're on a stag do. But I think he would actually be, I think the character would actually make the stag do a lot more fun and, it would just bring a bit more to it. Um, and yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, at the end of the video, I could even move him up to B tier, potentially, no promises. Um, but yeah, I think, Josh Hockett, C tier fighter, or, well, C tier fighter, C tier best man. Um, he's, yet to prove himself as a fighter, I suppose. And now we move on to our final fighter of the tier list. It will be Jean Silva. Now, Jean Silva, I'm going to put him in C tier just now. I have a feeling I might actually move him down a bit later on. I think this guy is coming to your wedding. He's getting on the microphone. I think he could probably give you like an okay speech. I think he'll probably say a few nice things. We see how he gets on with people, the fighting nerds. As long as Mauricio Ruffi isn't the groom, I think he'll be pretty decent speech wise. He will, however, start barking at people randomly, and I think he might actually scare your wife away, and your wife will do a runner. Also on the stag do, this guy again, it's just the barking shit and the fucking like, just I don't know, it just feels like it's like just like a mega retarded kid. Like he's just like a fully grown retarded child. He seems like the kind of guy who would like fucking laugh and do all the fucking 6, 7 shit and all that kind of stuff. Um, and that would be my worry is that if there were any children at the wedding or anything like that, they are getting fucking riled up by this guy John Silva. He's barking at them, they're barking back. They're doing 6, 7, he's doing 6, 7. It's mental. It's absolutely mental. Buffy wise, I think again he's in decent shape, so I don't think he's going to be eating your whole Buffy like a John Jones or a Josh Hockett or an Armin. But I think he's just got this weird loose cannon kind of factor to him, and I just don't think I can look past that, which is why I'm going to keep him in C tier. Um, but I don't know. I mean, look at the way he's looking at that belt in that photo, right? Tell me that you don't think he would look at your engagement ring or your wedding ring or like, all of your wedding gifts that you get from people. Tell me that he wouldn't look at them the same way he looks at that belt. I'm just saying, I would be terrified that this guy would try and fucking nick some of my stuff. Like just walking around it, rah, rah, just that fucking insane video of him with that belt. But overall, I think he can do just about enough to stay in the C tier. And I think John Jones, obviously being on his own down in the D tier, I think that just shows you the level that the D tier is. And I think it would be a bit unfair to put John Silver down there. I don't think he's that bad, but you do have to be careful. The guy is a fucking mental case. Um, yeah, it's just absolute fucking wild guy. Um, but overall, this is the tier list. We have Volk up in S tier, O'Malley in A tier, Marab, McGregor, and Sorokin in B tier, Chandler, Edwards, Hockett, and John Silva in C tier, with John Jones rounding it out in D tier. If you like the video, please do give it a like. If you would like to comment any other tier list ideas or just general video ideas, then please do feel free to leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you would like. That would help out a lot, and I'd appreciate it. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys have a good one. I hope you guys are good. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.